Hello, welcome to today's talk time. I've been thinking about neuro-linguistic programming, and I thought I would cover a little concept that I really enjoy sharing with clients, and that is about aiming for excellence rather than average. So, buckle up. I hope you enjoy today's session. Now, neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro stands for the mind. Their language we use is processed in many ways. We have what we call a VACOG system: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. So we're filtering through mood. We distort, delete, and generalize information coming in. So our language is then sorted into meaning. Okay. So when we're looking at the program, we then run a program. And sometimes we get into habits or programs that are maybe blocking us from being our best, from aiming for excellence, and we just aim for average. When we think about people who have the knowledge, it is nice to really copy and paste. What are those people doing that I could do too? So instead of reinventing the wheel all by yourself, one painful process at a time, the idea of NLP and looking at modeling excellence, this is a really good one to think about in your own life. Who are those people that you would like to be more like? What are their habits, daily life habits? What are those hacks? What are the beliefs that they hold that create the patterns of behavior they get involved with? And when we want to create patterns of behavior of success, we need to model that. Years ago, I struggled at school. And then I went to boarding school. And what that did for me is it created a framework of study. Now, prior to that, I found it really hard to sit down and actually learn for long periods of time. But I was forced into an environment where for 2.5 hours every night, no arguments, you had to sit in a room at the school and do your homework. We called it prep. So I went from a failing student to a A grade student very, very quickly because it taught me how to slow down and what other people do to be successful. All those successful students would study. They would have a dedicated time, no interruptions, no fluffing around, and they would get on with the task. Now, what that did is it stepped up this level of understanding of modeling excellence. Now, I wasn't very good at making friends when I went to boarding school. And I thought, well, how can I begin to make friends? Let's start looking at people who are really good at making friends and see what they're doing that I could start to model. So I had that idea. I think I was about 13 at the time, 12, 13. And I started to notice that they would take action. They would be affirmative in what they wanted to do. They would go up to people and say, hey, do you want to go and play a game of tennis? And they would initiate ideas instead of waiting like I would for someone to come to me and ask me to participate. I was a little lazy, if you like, at even thinking that I could go out and actually invite someone to do something with me rather than waiting for the invite that never came. So I started to observe also the kind of conversations and what they would um, do to get a deeper and deeper relationship. And my ears would be out, just tuning in. And over a period of time, I evolved a much better understanding of how people do small talk. Now, prior to that, I came from a very lonely journey growing up. I'd been through loss in the family. My brother, he was 10 and he died of cancer, and I was 4 at the time. So I didn't really have anyone to talk to, and because my parents were very grief stricken, they were quite insular and very private with their grief process. And I retreated inward into my own world. So when I went to normal school, I also brought that grief energy with me, and I didn't feel like playing. I didn't feel like interacting with other kids at my school. So I found the idea of play quite weird. It didn't come naturally because I was processing a lot of stuff that was hard for me during that time of my life. So when I went to boarding school, it was an opportunity for me to reinvent myself. And I wanted to understand, how do I go from, and I didn't have this language in my mind yet, but going from average to excellent. I wanted to be excellent at meeting and greeting people, getting on with things, doing school, and all of that stuff. So modeling that at a young age really helped me to change the trajectory of my life, actually. Now, there was a moment where I wanted to play tennis with the other girls at my boarding school, and I couldn't play tennis at all. I wasn't ever taught how to serve or do anything like that, so I had no idea. Yet I was missing out. So I was missing out on a very important summer sport that I wanted help with. So I went back to my parents and said, "Hey, I need to learn how to play tennis. I'm really bad, and no one wants to play with me, and it's quite hard." So they hired a tennis pro. They didn't just go for an average person teaching people how to play tennis. I was gifted and I was very fortunate. I thank my parents a lot for that. But they hired a tennis pro to teach me one-to-one lessons for the next 2 weeks of the school holidays before I returned. So I went from not knowing how to return to being able to return and serve perfectly. Now, it was so weird to go from not being able to do anything, the ball would go everywhere but where I wanted to go, to having full control over the game and actually being able to play a game quite well in 2 weeks that no one at boarding school believed me. So we ended up having to just practice on the big board, with the line. Eventually, the other students saw that I had obviously improved and I was able to join in on the games. But this is an example of going straight to someone who could identify very, very quickly what was wrong, what was missing, tell me about it, and I went copy paste. And I just exactly showed my brain and my body what to do by the examples of someone who was excellent at it. Okay. So my brain, one of the key things, if you're out there not very good at tennis, one of the key things that I was doing wrong, and this pro got that exactly perfect. Um, I was waiting until I'd run towards the ball before I was putting my hand back. So by the time I reached the connection with the ball would be at the wrong angle and it would go off to the side rather than over the net. So what she taught me was, while you're running, Meredith, put your arm back ready. So by the time that you reach the ball, your arm is in the right angle to be able to return the ball exactly where you want it to go. And that was a game changer. Like that, literally, as soon as she explained what I wasn't doing and how to remedy that, it's like, it's in. Now I'm talking about these things about, a sports thing or a mindset. It can be anything that you can model. So if you're wanting to achieve something, please think, what are those mentors out there? If you want to get really good in finance, don't go to someone who's average. Go to someone who's excellent, like properly knows their stuff. This is really important. If you want to get ahead, if you want to be the best, this is what modeling looks like. So I hope you've enjoyed today. If you want to learn more about NLP, those concepts of how to rewire, reprogram the mind, check out the school website, nzach.ac.nz. And I'd love to be your guide. I'm passionate about teaching anything to do that's going to be around helping others to become their best selves. Okay. So, yes, I hope you've enjoyed tuning in. If you have, please like. Maybe if you like this kind of content, subscribe. once a week, I'm back here talking about all sorts of things to do with hypnosis, NLP, mind training 101. Okay? So, anyway, for now, ka kite. Hope to see you next week.